ladies and gentlemen, we are making that school drink kick off here. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. We were going through a little bit of the background here with Mr. RC Flint. I was doing my makeup, says Stevie. That's true. I was. Neil gave me the clock sign. Sorry, Neil, man. But hey, I appreciate all you guys checking in and checking this out. I've got RC Flint on tonight, and he has the first IRS S2000 in the nines, eights, sevens, and now sixes, brand spanking new off of the reunion. There it is, 698, 203 with no roof, which is great. And yeah, man, it's going to be super duper awesome. This dude has a long history with a lot of Honda stuff, which obviously kind of dovetails into my world a little bit. So we can nerd out on Honda crap for a little while, which will be fun. But just off the reunion, that was an absolute blast. And of course, we'll talk about that. He came up just short. RC did, chasing down, of course, Pro Mod Jim Braun, who we had on, which is very cool. So I will be next at the Torque Storm Dust Off Drag Race at US 131, May 9th and 10th. And then the end of May is Mega Week. So it's going to be going off the chain. And Danny, thank you. Richard Guido is on. You've got the Canadian Chuck Norris. The People's Champion says that he heard that a guy who likes to take his top off is on tonight. And that's true. It's going to be sweet, dude. It's going to be super duper fun. I do need to preface it with tonight I have thunderstorms going like crazy, and my dogs don't really know what to do with that. So we might have some dogs barking and doing some stuff here this evening, but it's going to be super cool. I also love that I can stick a microphone in RC Flint's face nearly any time at Bradenton and or sick week, and he'll talk to me. He's like, I mean, he can be in the middle of stuff, and he's like, I'll stop, whatever, let's go. I appreciate that stuff a ton. So without further ado, you guys, tonight, episode 71, RC Flint, and we are getting kicked off. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to That School Drink. There's the man right there. Dude, RC, thank you again for coming on That School Drink. This is going to be a blast tonight.
Oh, dude, thank you for having me. It's I've been wanting to do one of these for quite some time, so this is pretty dang cool.
Here we go. Like, we're going to make it happen. And of course, congrats on the brand new 6. And like Richard Guido said, a dude that likes to just take his top off once in a while. And you actually did blow the top off your car. You got a carbon roof on the S2000, right? And blew that thing off. It didn't like 200. It turns out
it didn't. Yeah, we had one. No longer do it. Now we just have like a little shell of one. What used to be one.
Right. But it turns out you don't need that because that car's still fast without it. It's still big.
It actually went personal best mile per hour, backing up right after that with no top. So maybe there's something we had about that. Maybe that car's aerodynamics really isn't great for 200 miles per hour. It
turns out. I mean,
yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, Richard says that's damn impressive. It is really damn impressive. And if you look at the slip too, dude, that car boogies to the 60-foot for, again, like we talked about this a little bit at the reunion. That thing is not a flyweight. It's a 3,300 pound S2000, right?
Yeah, it's 3,320 with me in it. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely not light. That's actually kind of slow to the 60-foot for us. But just that's kind of what I thought it would handle for track conditions. So we just kind of left it at that.
Give folks a rundown about the car. What's the combo? What the hell is it? And
yeah,
you know, why, I guess, finish this off with why in the hell an S2000? Why would you, come on, man. Aren't there a million better cars? But
oh my God, probably every car is better, honestly. I mean, for me, I have been a Honda guy for a long time. Initially, kind of when I got into like motorsports and stuff, it was two strokes. So that was always kind of like efficiency. So two strokes, far better than four strokes. And then when it kind of came to getting a car, it was kind of, Honda was about as efficient, in power. Sure, they didn't make 500 horsepower, but power per cubic inch, power per liter, they were definitely the top of the game. So that's kind of why.
And especially early in that game, those kind of early 90s cars,
Yep.
You could buy a Corolla that had, 98 horsepower, or you could buy a Civic that had 160 horsepower. There was a really big difference between those two cars in like 92, 93, coming off of the showroom floor. And I'm with you. Like, I worked at a Honda dealer. I know you work at a Honda. We'll get into that as well. But I PDI'd the hell out of like 94 Civics. And, when they started kind of getting a little bit spicy with some of their stuff, that's when I was there at the height. And I mean, you were
dealership installing AC.
I was.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That was a funny thing. They didn't come factory equipped with AC back then. We had to install with the dealer.
Dealer install AC, exactly. The buttons and the whole mess. It was a wild deal back then. But So what's the combo? Why?
So it was kind of the Honda deal, so I kind of did the Honda deal, kind of came up through, did the front wheel drive stuff, did the sport front wheel drive stuff, and then just eventually got to the point where I was just tired of breaking so much stuff. Like, it was not fun to go to the track and have to change the transmission halfway through an event and change an engine. That wasn't fun to me. So I went, the only rear wheel drive thing, that Honda had, it just had to be an S2000. And it coincidentally ended up being one of my customers for forever and ever. I said, hey, if you ever get rid of your S2000, please call me. Not sure why I said that, because I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together to actually buy it. So I don't even know why I said it, but
all of a sudden he calls your bluff, and then you're like, honey, we're going to buy an S2000.
So funny enough, it was a customer I'd helped for years. She bought the car new in California, and it's actually that red one that you've got a picture of with the Pro Charger on it.
Okay.
And so that car, that one. So that car, right from the Honda dealership, they put that Pro Charger deal on it. And so there was a coolant hose that's right up there by the throttle body. That coolant hose split. She overheated the motor, blew the motor up. So it got towed in, and she's like, I'm not paying, I'm not putting $10,000 into an engine. It served me good. I'll sell it to you. And I'm like, I don't have the money. So she's like, well, no, just make me whatever offer. And so I made some, I'm like, I literally only have $1,000. And she goes, I'll have it towed to your house. I'm like, okay, all right.
Holy cow.
So then I started to scrounge for a motor, but those motors were like $5 or $6 grand.
Totally. F20, if you guys don't know, it was the first of the iteration of the Honda motors that turned the right direction because it was rear wheel drive. So it, like, when that thing came out, though, it was the same deal. You're talking about, like, fun factor for the money.
Oh yeah.
That thing, how much power did the F20 make stock?
242.
Right.
And it was a 2-liter. So it was, 121 horsepower per liter. It had at that time, it was the highest, horsepower production per liter of any OE engine.
And it would sing 9,000 RPM and not think twice about it. And they were that was a cool car when they came out, like a super duper cool car.
Yeah. I always wanted one. And so it just kind of became a thing. So I just parked it. Well, then trying to find a motor, and a buddy of mine was like, hey, I've got one of those motors in my barn. And I'm like, no, like, you've got an F20 from like an Accord, or something like that. You don't have an F20C, because a lot of people do get them mixed up with the letters. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
And he goes, no, I'm telling you, I've got one. So I said, send me a picture of it. He sends me a freaking picture of it, and no shit, it was an F-20C. And I'm like, and he goes, you can have it. I forget what it was. I think it was like $250 or something stupid.
So now you've got a like $1,250 S2000.
Exactly. And so that's exactly, we put the motor in it. And then I put the motor in it. I had actually never even really driven an S2000. Like, you can't go joyride in customers' cars and stuff like that. And certainly hadn't driven one with the supercharger.
Right.
So first test drive, of course, what do? I've got a romp on it. And I drive it and I'm like, this thing's dog slow. Like, this sucks.
Yeah, what the
hell? I vividly remember going back going, man, this kind of sucks. And so I get back to the house and I pop the hood and the coupler had blown off for the supercharger. So I put the coupler back on, took it out. I'm like, oh, this thing rocks.
Here we go.
There we go.
Here we go.
No, it was kind of comical. When I came back, my buddy's like, what's the matter? I'm like, this thing's a dog. So that was pretty funny. And then really, I just became the S2000 guy, really. So, I mean, I think I've had 7 or 8 of them. I mean, I currently have 3 right now.
Okay.
So it just became every time customers would just come into me, and it just kind of went from there.
Were you a tech at the time, I assume?
Nope. So I actually with Honda, I never did the tech side. I was always the customer service side. So I started off washing cars there, and then service advisor, and then assistant service manager, and then now fixed operations director.
Which is great, because then, I mean, yeah, as a service advisor, you're that person. So they gave you the first go at it with those cars. So, that's a hell of a good deal. And you said you have 3 of them now. So you have the Melt Your Retinas orange one that you currently own, which is this one here.
Yep.
You've got the red one, not with the supercharger anymore, right?
Nope, not with the supercharger
You've got
anymore.
the earlier that looks the same.
Identical. Can't tell them apart.
And you've got a third one?
Yeah, I've got a third one that really kind of at this point became a parts car. Another customer, wrecked the car and was like, hey, and I'm like, sure, I'll buy it. Why not?
Okay. Yeah. So 2 viable driving, one runs 6s and one doesn't. But yeah, I mean, what a cool car. And especially, with kids and stuff, I'm sure they just love throw the kids in there and let's go zing around, Dad, and not not necessarily in the fast one, but throw them in the red one, and
they go in the fast one.
They go in the fast one too.
Oh, absolutely. Hell yeah. Especially my youngest daughter. I mean, it's funny. Later on, I'll send you a video where she was much younger then, but the cutest voice of "Faster, Daddy, faster." And I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to get in trouble here.
Hell yes. And that answers one of my questions, because you're a family guy. There's your family there. I was, how in the hell do you convince your wife to go spend money on S2000s? And it makes sense because they're $1,000 cars.
Yeah, well, maybe based on what I've told her, maybe I've convinced myself that it's pretty affordable to go out and do this.
Right.
I mean, I have a ridiculously understanding, wife. There is no doubt about that. I mean, I've said it many, many times. What we do, it's stupid. I mean, if you're talking financially wise, it's
yeah. No, and you'll never sell the stuff for what you paid for it. It's just not. Yeah, if you're trying to get rich drag racing, you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I do it for my mental sanity, and she allows me to do it. And so, thank goodness for that. And
one of the cool things about, I'm sorry, tell us the combo, because you sent me a video earlier. You drove it to work, and it's a 400 car, right?
Yep. So it's actually pretty simple. I mean, it's a starting at the front. It's a LS, or it started off as an LS basically. It's a Dart Pro 6-bolt block, iron block. It's got Brodix BR3 heads, CNC ported from Fountain Race engines. And then the bottom end combos, that's kind of where it gets a little different. So it's a 6.6 liter LT crank
Okay.
out of the LAT.
Yep.
So it's a factory GM crank, and then
But
it's got a
those
six.
are gangster.
They
They're
really are.
center
I mean,
counterweighted. They're
yep.
forged. It's a little bit of a stroker crank.
Yeah.
The factory stuff. They're sweet as
Yep.
hell.
They really are. I mean, honestly, so the funny thing was because we were building this thing during COVID when stuff was just junk and you couldn't
Right.
get it. Where you could get that OE crank no problem. We had several of the big name companies with cranks sitting there, and we're miking them, and it's just like it's crazy how good an OE crank is and
Totally.
what they put them through and everything else. And we're sitting there going like, oh, that's perfect. Oh, that's perfect. All right, well.
Well,
And
and it's all
so
intended for a dude at a dealership to put a crankshaft in a truck and
that
ship
has
it. No
no
machine
idea what
work,
he's doing.
no
Yep.
bull crap. Like it could be an
Yep.
18-year-old kid straight out
Yep.
of tech school. It needs to be able to do that, and so it has to be good.
Exactly.
And that's a super cool combo. I like it a lot.
Yeah. And so it's a 6,200 rod, which is a little unusual, a little bit longer rod.
Mm-hmm.
So with us, I mean, you don't quite have the mechanical advantage with the longer rod as far as like actually putting the power through the crank, but it is easier on stuff though. Rod stroke ratio is easier. The angle is a little bit better. So we have built this engine specifically around that. This thing we kind of know that it is torque limited, period.
Right.
Whatever that number is, it's kind of a piece of our imagination, whatever.
Right. It's like a mathematical figure.
Yeah, but we have limited it to that amount, and we just have said, you know what, we will run that limit, but instead of it being at 6,500 RPMs, which is where most people would, they would usually have this torque that skyrockets up and then it plummets, and they would just live with the plummeting torque curve.
Right.
So we turn this thing 8,700 RPMs, not because it makes power naturally out there. It actually makes shit for power naturally out there.
Right.
We just run 20 more pounds of boost, about 20 more pounds of boost than we would actually run if we ran it back at 6,500 RPMs where it was efficient. The difference is it makes 400 horsepower more, but the engine doesn't know it. It doesn't know that it's under any more stress. It makes 400 horsepower more, but doesn't know that it's under any more stress than it was at the lower RPM.
That's awesome. What cubes did it end up being?
414.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a 4,125 bore. Now it's a 4,130 because it's been refreshed.
Right.
3,866 stroke, and then it's backed by a turbo 400. So one of the big things that we did that kind of really helped our program get along was a close ratio 400. So it's got a Cohen close ratio 400, and then at that time we went with a Circle D torque converter, and that really made the car. That's when it started to 60 foot and stopped wheeling as well.
Right.
And then the kind of the call it the glory, call it the stupidity, whatever, but it's got that IRS rear end in it.
Yep.
So it used to have a 8.8 aluminum 8.8 out of Explorer.
Okay.
And then we got to the point where 122 60 foots, you could bet your bottom dollar if it went a 121, it would break, but a 122 would be fine.
Right. Right. And again, when you're adding especially wheelies,
yep, and there it is.
And power, with the deeper first gear and the not close ratios and stuff like that. You just overpower the aluminum.
Yep. Yeah. And so then we had got to the point where we would take a spare diff with us everywhere we went. I'll never forget that picture that you had right there.
I played that game before in my Cadillac.
Yep. So that event right there, we decided to race Streetcar Takeover, which was the day before Sick Week, and we broke the rear end at Streetcar Takeover, and so we backed the car up in the staging lanes and swapped the diff in the staging lanes, so that way we could continue on. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So then once we said, okay, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. So we started looking at other viable IRS options. And, the most was S550 Mustang. Kind of started looking at those. Of course, a lot of people take those out and go straight to a 9-inch.
Totally.
But there was a couple people though that would run the stock, rear end, and they were having success. So I was like, all right, we did find out that the stock carrier itself was weak as heck, and that's
right.
kind of why that rear end actually gets a bad rep. But as long as you put a good carrier in it, it's solid. I mean, I hate to even say it, but we haven't
knock on wood or whatever.
I even went as far, because when we put that diff in, I went iron, because I was like, you know what, I want the strongest possible thing.
Right.
And then when we I think it was sick week this year, we really were planning on going and throwing everything at it, as far as like speed.
Right.
We said, you know what? Well, I'll put an aluminum one in it, expecting it was going to break. I mean, we really did. So we brought a spare diff that was already pre-built and everything. And surprisingly enough, didn't need it. I haven't broken it since.
Cool. So you're still on the aluminum case S550 center.
Exactly. Yep. And it's got a Eaton True Track differential in it, just because I don't like spools. I'm just not a fan of them.
Well, especially with IRS.
Yep.
It really gets those axles in a weird bind. And if you've ever had an axle apart from an IRS, it's just balls. There's ball. Correct. It's literally just a stainless steel ball that rides in a little bit of a groove. So it's putting all the power through that. But if you start getting those weird, they chatter weird, they start turning those balls the wrong way, and you can break those axles in like a second on like a totally dry street, trying to do just a quick little flip a UE with a spool in an IRS car. And
I did that.
Everything's different with IRS. My Cadillac's my first IRS car. I've got an 8.8 in it. But it was the same deal. The stock diff in that thing, I had a spare, I had all the bracing, I did all the crap, but jammed the 8.8 in it, and it's a whole different world. It's just Ford got that shit put together. Like, they are good at rear ends and diff stuff. But I got to know, like, if you're that guy, you're carrying diffs, you're doing the thing, you're trying to go fast. When the thing blows up, why in the hell do you not just put a solid axle in it?
Because I have to know why. I mean, honest to goodness, my biggest thing is I refuse just to accept something just because somebody says it has to be that way. I mean, the IRS, the S2000 chassis, I mean, you name it. I will actually put learning something ahead of winning, I guess.
Okay.
I will literally make a change because I'm like, I really think this could do something good, and I'll risk losing the race because I have to know. I have to.
I like, as a personal dude, like, I appreciate that, because I'm that same dude. Like, you got to figure out what happened with whatever. Why did it break? When did it break? How did it break? How can we make it better for next time?
Yep. And that's, because it's kind of funny. They usually say, like drag racing, step one, remove the IRS. Like, that's like literally step one of drag racing. If it's an IRS car, take it out, put a straight axle in it. And I'm like, hey, I can appreciate that. We do know that a straight axle works. But I'm like, can't it be done? How it is, I don't know. And I want to figure it out. And
it can.
It can be done. It can.
and again, like, when you look at stuff like this, and when you listen to what RC's going through, keep in mind that it's a 3,300 pound car. It's not a flyweight car. We were talking about this at the reunion. Street cars just inherently are a little bit heavier because they got to have heavier duty stuff to be able to drive down the street. I'm sure you could make a flyweight S2000, but then you wouldn't be able to drive it to and from the track, which you do almost all the time, right? Like, this is your setup.
Yeah. I drive it constantly. I want to actually drive the car. So I won't take, more times than not, I won't take creature comforts out of it. I'll figure it out another way. I know that making it light is the faster way, but I feel like I can do it other ways.
Right. I mean, you can make power. Obviously, the thing makes power. How fast has it gone on the quarter?
That's 698 at 203.
So 203, 3,300 pounds. You do the math. I mean, that thing's making 1,600 probably. which is, dude, that's stout for, especially when you're talking a shorter crank motor or, shorter stroke motor and stuff like that. That's pretty sick.
I mean, it's fuel flow wise. It burns, 21, anywhere from 2,000 to 2,100 pounds an hour on E90. So, I mean, that's, right at 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah. So 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry for shortchanging you 700 or 400 or whatever. Does it have AC?
Unfortunately, not anymore.
Oh, so I was going to say, I thought I could spot a condenser from a million miles away.
Yep. So unfortunately, when we had the fire, that's what ended up discontinuing the AC life. Now it's coming back. I have a full 12-volt system that is already built for it. It's a mini split system.
Okay.
I just had a failure on it. It didn't quite pan out the way that I had anticipated. So it goes behind the front seats, and it's removable. So it's So it's kind of trick.
What sort of power does it eat?
75 amps.
Dude.
Yeah,
are you going to put a separate battery and everything in for it?
So I already have 2 batteries. Yep. So it runs on a 14-volt system already. So it's 14-volt battery, charges at 16.5 to 17 volts.
Okay.
So I've got 2 batteries for that. It's a 285 amp alternator, which still at idle, it's not ideal, but it can get by.
And Adam Bronson says that's about half as much as your fuel pump.
Oh my God. The fuel pump is.
You do have the loudest fuel pump in the game. What pump is in that car?
It is the Airmoto 10 gallon per minute.
It is the loudest. I mean, when you're pulling up to the line, again, it's got a turbo, so turbos are the best mufflers. So the engine is relatively quiet, but damn, that fuel pump is just cooking.
That fuel pump wrecks live feeds. It really does. I think it is because it's solid mounted. It's not rubber mounted. It's solid mounted, and then even above that, all of the fuel lines are solid too. They are not. They're not any type of flexible line. So I have a feeling that is what makes for as much noise, because we do know those pumps are noisy, but they're not normally that noisy.
No, totally. What I guess I'm a huge fan of all hard lines. What lines did you use in that car? I tried aluminum, and it's just way too woo.
Yeah. So it's hard lined only to the pump, and then out of the pump it's then PTFE.
Okay.
So it's basically forged fittings from Vibrant. So it's solid mounted that way.
Perfect.
And I did that because it's got a ball valve on it for street driving, track driving. So it uses the same fuel system, same fuel lines, same regulator, same everything for both systems. So they just have a couple ball valves and then a couple different electrical connectors.
What fuel do you race on?
So fuel racing is Ignite E9 or 1-ethanol R.
Okay.
But it's gotten to the point now where the fuel system is not enough. So it's a little 1-ethanol R with a little C16 mix, a little potion.
Yep. And then, up the base just a little bit. And
the base that's probably the other reason why, because the base is at 75 pounds on an electric pump.
Damn.
And 50 pounds of boost on top of that with a 1-to-1 regulator.
Yeah. So it pulls about 125 amps.
That's 100%. It's melted many connectors.
I'll bet. That'll find the high amperage situations right there. No problem.
Sure will.
Why in the hell? Because that car's black, right? The car you race.
Orange. Oh, I'm like, wait a second. What? Yes.
Under the.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually looks
gray?
like a job. No, it's like a jawbreaker.
Okay.
That thing has been painted probably 37 times.
Got it.
So when I did the body work on it to wrap it, I'm not exaggerating. It looked like a jawbreaker.
Okay, so it's like 70 different colors.
It is. It really is. there is probably the amount of paint that's on there. That's probably where the 3,300 pounds comes from.
Some of it for sure.
Yes.
I mean, a gallon is 7 pounds, and that's part of the deal. So why in the hell orange? Why that?
You can ask Adam in the comments why he. No, it. So leading up to that, the last guy though did paint it purple. I mean, the car literally when I went to do the body work on it, the car was it was at one time it was purple. It had been gray. It had been black. It had been green. It had been like a brown. And the purple and the green were like that marble finish.
Oh,
like yeah, really, yeah. That was fantastic. Trying to, yeah. You know what the funny thing is? I didn't have to use any filler though. True story. Didn't have to use any filler to get any of the dents out because there was enough paint material there that I was able to use that as a
just feather it right out, no problem.
Sure did.
And then you knew where you were at in the paint.
Yeah,
you just
100%.
It's an everlasting gobstopper.
It really is
what it is.
So I wanted to finally, and I don't even remember why I came to it because the car had never looked good from day one. I mean, I would cut things up or make room or do it. I was absolutely, function was the first thing,
right?
And so I finally was like, I'm gonna, make the car look halfway decent. And so I went to my buddy and I'm like, at first I wanted a blue, just like that Integra. That was really what I wanted because blue was my favorite color. And but then I remembered that when I actually painted that car, because that was the only car I've ever actually had painted, I didn't like it. For whatever reason, I just didn't like it. It didn't work for me. Right. So I said, and then I remembered one other time where I had a boat and I was responsible for choosing the color options on it.
When I was stalking you, I saw that boat.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw, if it was the hideous color option boat, that was the one that I optioned out. If it was the nice one, that was where my wife had optioned it out. But when I optioned this boat for the colors, it was horrendous. And I said, I can't be trusted with colors. I'm colorblind. Right. I can't even match my outfits usually. So right. So I went to my buddy Adam, and I said, hey, I need you to choose for me. And he chose the orange. He said, we need something that stands out, something that gets attention. And frickin' he was right, man. I mean, the car never got attention before. Never.
Yeah, I mean, it like this. And I remember this car. And it was like, okay, whatever. And then you showed up. I can't remember where the hell it was when I saw it.
Oh, I know exactly. So it was Christmas tree race.
Totally.
Of 23.
Yep.
I picked the car up that day from having it wrapped.
Nice.
And that was the night that it caught fire.
Damn it.
Yeah. That was like, I was devastated. The car looked amazing for the first time and caught fire that night.
Son of a, how did it
not ideal?
How did it catch fire? What happened?
Loose fuel rail. So 100% on my my fault. So
sometimes that happens, but
it can.
It didn't burn all the way to the ground, and you lived.
No. Yeah. No. So it was. So it caught fire. Well, whatever. Christmas tree race. I think it was December 22nd, and then it was a pretty significant fire that burned everything electrical. So that was when we lost the AC. Was at that point, because when I had built the cage, I built the cage around the AC system, not thinking it was going to be a problem. Right. First time I ever built a cage, I didn't really know any better.
You built the cage yourself?
Yep, from scratch.
Sweet. Hell yeah.
It's a 6.0 certified to 2,800 pounds, 650 at 3,600.
Gangster, good for you.
So I had to bust all of the AC system to get it out. There was no removing it and putting one back in. So that's kind of where that went. And then we also had to completely rewire the car. So the car was always on an AEM Infinity, which is 25 years old by now, but I loved it. I mean, I know that system really well. I tune the car. So that's really what is most important. You choose what your tuner likes because he's familiar with it. And so then I put the fuel tech in it. So we had to, completely rebuild the car from December 22nd until I want to say it was January 23rd or something like that, I think is when sick week was.
Yep.
Because I was like, won't miss sick week. There is no chance.
So you fully rewired that car in a month?
Yes.
Dude.
So we did more than just that. We did an entire fuel system, built, a dual fuel tank system, rewired the car, fixed the fire, refreshed everything, got the car rewrapped. The whole thing. Now I had a ton of help though. I mean, some really, really good buddies.
Adam was probably there.
So Adam was there for sick week because he had to. So he was my main ride or die for sick week. He lives in Michigan.
Okay.
So I couldn't have him going back and forth, So he came down to help me through sick week. Matt Lamphere helped me wire the car up. Travis Mangum, he came down to help me wire and do the fuel system. And then I had some huge help from guys that I would have never even. So obviously everybody knows Doug Cook, the guy who's over at Motion, stuff like that. Yeah. He reached out to me the next day and was like, I'm super sorry, man. Sorry to hear that everything happened. And I said, yep, I'm going to have an order coming into you. I got to get it done because I refuse to miss sick week. And he's like, you tell me exactly what you need and we'll figure it out. And so I'll leave it at that. But dude helped us out beyond,
that's awesome.
Beyond belief. So
that's awesome.
So everything from rife sensors, motion stuff, this and that, you name it. It was super, super awesome to see him support us like that. So
you love that stuff, especially when you're kind of at your lowest and you're like, dude, I'm hammering, I'm just burning money. I should just be shoveling it in the fireplace. Yeah. And well,
that was the cool part.
Getting ready to leave, and man. Well,
that was the cool. I'm like, I need to overnight this stuff because I got to have it. And he goes, I'll do you one better. So he lives more or less, call it around the corner from me. He goes, I've got majority of what you need. Come grab it. I'm like, oh, you're freaking kidding me, man. This, awesome. that is cool. That's so awesome. That was really awesome. So busted butt. And then Adam, dude, I was absolutely exhausted. So Adam he definitely my ride or die. And he's like, I got you. So we drove the car. I mean, not that it's far. We drove it from the house to Orlando because we finished it at that's
2 hours when you're talking about a car you maybe finished, the night before. You drove it 2 hours. That's a long enough drive to do a shakedown, especially when you rewired the whole freaking thing and replumbed it. And that's a hell of a long shakedown drive.
Absolutely. It literally, we finished it at 2 a.m. that morning that we have to go. Right. So then the question was, okay, well, do we want to trailer the car there or do we want to drive it? And I'm like, honestly, I think we drive it. And then that gives us the opportunity to figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
And I had
I
had to tune it.
Right.
So we fired it up at 2 a.m. Wasn't even tuned. So all I had for tuning was to drive it from the house to there and try to do a couple street pulls.
Is it still on AAM?
No, I put it on Fuel Tech.
Okay. So you put it on Fuel Tech in that swap over. So you not only went from AAM to Fuel Tech.
Yes.
You rewired the whole car. Fixed the fire damage, and that's wild. Ellen wants to know, do you have your fire suppressant system in yet?
I do. Thanks to her. She's actually the one, her and Pete actually bought me the fire suppression system.
And same deal. Like, thank you so much for helping save my ass because again, I got this family that counts on me to
100%.
Here they are.
There you go.
Doing the stuff. So, burning to death isn't really the best way to get home to your family.
No, not at all. And the car doesn't heal, so you have to fix that.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, that was definitely dumb to not have it in the car before, definitely learned my lesson. Right. It has it now. So now it has pull handle and also auto deploy. So that way, God forbid, if I don't do it, it'll do it for me.
Nice. But buy you those precious seconds. You need them.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it was crazy, man. Because literally we started up 2 a.m., drove it there. I kind of let closed loop Jesus take the wheel, if you will.
Totally.
And it opened up those percentages quite a bit. the thing freaking clicked off. The first pass, it clicked off. I think it's 762. I mean, I was actually kind of sold on the fuel tech deal after that. I was like, I mean, come on, to just plug in some numbers and it goes out.
Right.
That's kind of cool.
And guess and just here we go, and it just does it.
Yeah.
And so obviously still on fuel tech.
Yep.
Nice.
I would most like. I mean, it's going to go Motec. It's just a matter of when.
Right. So we mentioned earlier, we touched on it, your past history in the Honda world, and I'm sure that comes a bit from working at the dealer and whatnot. But walk us through growing up, working at a Honda dealer, and getting through Hondas and stuff like that's. Yeah. Again, this is my you're a dude about my age, I would guess, maybe a little younger than me, but that's this is the jam. Like I love this.
God, I miss that car.
Is so much fun. What obviously, I'm sure you worked at the dealer and you're like, okay, it's Honda all day long. But why Preludes? Why Integras? What brought you to it? And then why drag racing?
So for me, I have always been a fan of the two-door coupes. Like that's always been my style of car. So Prelude, I'm actually really not even a hatchback kind of guy, but okay. I kind of got into the hatchback because I was trying to go lighter, and it just wasn't my thing. So Prelude was always a fan favorite for me. And then Corvettes, CTSV coupes, things like those are my types of cars. LC 500. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I have one of those around here. But I mean Honda. So I literally sought out. So I was into Hondas before working at Honda. I had that blue Integra that was turboed before working at Honda. Dang, you're quick on those pictures, man.
Hey, man, it's not my second episode.
Yeah, not at all.
It's my 71st.
So when I was looking for a job, I specifically sought out the Honda dealership.
Cool.
And I was just like, it was funny because I mean I can laugh about it now. Not that long ago, I was actually cleaning out our business office. So I was moving in all my stuff into the service director position, and I came across my application that I filled out.
How cool is that?
14 years ago. Not cool, because I'm like, how did I even get the job?
I just like cars. Thank you.
When it had the position desired, it was service advisor or higher. Who does that? I don't. But
straight out of like, how old were you when you applied? Were you like?
I would have been, I think, 19.
Okay, yeah. So like, I just want to waltz in as a service advisor and
I just make want it all 80K. Or higher. If you
or higher, I mean, whatever.
If you're giving those away, I'll take one of those too.
Parts manager, like, let's go.
Just give me the keys to the place. Let's go.
Right. Let's go.
That was funny.
So what set the hook for you? What brought you into this world?
So for me, it was their efficiency. They make good power, and especially so.
There was like not a person that was just like, dude, I have this Honda. You were just like, I'm gonna have a fast Honda. Like that. No, I initially went for something like naturally for what I could afford. What was like the fastest naturally aspirated whatever that was in my budget. Okay.
And it was a $2,000 Honda Prelude initially, not that one that
not this super duper nice,
not that clean one. No.
Right.
So
it was this baby brother's one.
Exactly. And then
was it that era, the H22 version?
Looks identical. You couldn't even tell. I have a problem with that. I buy identical cars for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So then I turboed
like red and blue.
I do like red.
Red and blue.
So I turboed that first one, and then what happened with the H series platform is quite specific. Like there's not a lot of crossover parts from anything else. So
totally. And for guys that don't know, that the H22 is just a Prelude motor. Like it didn't the B series stuff came in a ton of different stuff. The H was just the Prelude. So they were, the aftermarket wasn't that big on them. But it was the biggest of the variation of that
Yep.
that type of engine. So a lot of people dug them, and you could put them into a Civic, and a Civic that had a 1.6, all of a sudden you have a 2.2. That's a really, really big difference.
Yeah.
So for folks that don't know, that's sort of the world with the H. It's only Prelude. It's only 94 and newer Prelude. The earlier ones had different variations of craziness. So they're not very popular. They weren't very popular.
Not at all.
They've become more popular, but it's just not now. Now they're gone. That the inventory is all gone. But anyway, so for folks that are V8 people, H22 was sort of the Mac Daddy,
so
biggest version of the Honda motor that turns the wrong way.
We called it the big block. I mean, that was funny enough. The B series was the small block. The H series was the big block.
Yep.
So then what happened was I got too far into it, and there are some quite specific parts for that. There's some weak stuff, transmissions and axles, and those are far weaker than B series or anything else like that. And I dove into that pretty quick and went and got a PPG dog box for it. And it's big money, especially when there was only, we had to get a group buy of 4 people to even make PPG make it. Mm-hmm. So there was only the 4 for us, and that was it. There was no more. So
and you could do like an H to B kit, and you could put a B series trans on it, but it would tilt, if you look at this, like it would tilt the H series motor way forward.
Yep. But I should have done that. It was stupid. I didn't think that through before just going all in on the H dog box and the axles. So then I was stuck. I'm 10 grand into something that was an asinine amount of money for me at that time. There was no going back. Right. I think I took a loan out. I was so stupid. I'm pretty sure. I don't even remember how I got the money, but I'm pretty sure.
You're like, I never had 10 grand.
Yeah, definitely didn't. So I was literally stuck with that drivetrain. Then I sleeved the motor, built it, and just went way down that rabbit hole. So then that was just it. So then once I kind of exceeded what we could do in that big chassis, that's when I started to look at the Integra, put it into the Integra, and then I wanted to go even faster. So then we put it into the EK. And then it wasn't until the motor spun a main bearing and it was over. It was done. It was like the whole reason why I kept going with that platform was because I had all this stuff.
Right.
So it made sense. But if I was going to start fresh, with a brand new motor, that I wasn't going to keep it going. I was only going because it was convenient. I really wanted to change platforms. So I decided to part everything out and went for the S2000.
How quick did that combo go in any of this stuff? Because this is Bradenton.
Yep.
And this is a long time ago, Bradenton.
That picture right there was the very first FL2K.
Right.
So that was what I'm going to guess, 10, 15 years ago.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yep. Probably 2016, I think.
Yep. So me and funny enough, me and Jim Braun went to the semifinals together. He had just got his white Mustang. So his white Mustang was running, I think, 1050s or no, maybe I ran him in I think I ran the 1150 index for that. Mm-hmm. So I think me and him, we went to the semis, 1150 index, however many years ago.
Right.
So his car was stock with nitrous on it.
So you guys have just been racing each other since, because you raced each other at the reunion.
Yep. Yeah. Same scenario. Yep.
Right. At Bradenton, at the reunion, just, fast forward 15 years, and then you both have 6-second cars. 15 years ago, my cars were faster than they are now, you guys are going the right direction. I'm going the wrong direction. I'm an idiot.
It happens.
Man.
So, yeah. So the Honda stuff. So I gave up the front wheel drive Honda stuff.
Did you do you have friends that were into it beforehand? Were your parents into it beforehand? And you're just just on your own, I need to get an H22 Prelude?
No, it really, for me, it started off with, it's crazy what it was, just engines, So when I was a kid, it was engines that I really appreciated, and it was lawn equipment is how I got my hands on engines that I could actually take apart, figure out how to put it back together, and then that's literally where it started. The first couple I was not successful with, and my mom was not a happy camper about that.
That'll happen.
And then once I kind of started to figure out how to work on them, I begged my parents for one of those go-peds. So this would have been like I don't know. I would have been like 12 or 13 years old, so 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I guess, whatever it is, I had to have a go-ped. I mean, just had to. I begged my parents. And
did you hot rod it too?
100%.
Oh,
I still have it. I could actually go get it in the shed right now. I do.
Hell yes.
Yes. So that was where my absolute love and fascination of engines and how do we figure this out. So it was 2-stroke. That thing, they were 0.7 horsepower for the base one. It was 1.2 horsepower for the hopped up one, 2 strokes,
right.
Basically 30 cc's. So we got those things to the point where, they were completely custom billet motors that we built. I did I think it was called PCA or something like that. I don't remember now. We raced them borderline in that era, was professionally, if you will. There really was no professional, but we were the top ones in the country.
Yeah, something going on where you could race the things.
And so we went, those things, they would run 9,000 RPMs when they were stock. And it sounds unbelievable, but we would turn these things, just a touch over 30,000 RPMs.
That's freaking awesome.
And that was when I learned that RPM is what actually, as long as you can get things to sustain and live and whatever, RPM is how you make power.
Well, and then Honda lives that world and always has, especially since the VTECs kind of come in.
Yes.
That was the very, very first original mass-produced variable valve timing.
Yes.
So you could put around town, and then you could get a ton of extra performance at the higher RPM bands. Yeah. And that makes a ton of sense. That's just you. If you've ever had a Honda, you gotta wrap that thing out, and you gotta beat it like it owes you money, but it's so reliable, it doesn't care. That's what it's built to do.
Yeah. There was one time where we were at it was like a car meet, and it was kind of an acquaintance. He had a GSR Integra, so V18 C1. And so he took me for a ride in it. And that was the first time that I ever heard, experienced, whatever, VTEC. Right. Thought it was the coolest effing thing in the world. I'm 16 years old. I thought this was the coolest thing when you hear this thing freaking boom. Okay. So then I go home and I'm like, hey, I got to have VTEC. I have to have it. And that thing only makes 160 horsepower. And I'm like, this Prelude makes 190. Well, that's 30 more horsepower. I need that one.
Let's get that.
Literally, that's where it started.
That's awesome, man. I dig on that a lot. So thanks to that acquaintance for setting the hook and 100%. Making you poor the rest of your life.
Oh my God. So bad. It's so bad.
Honda Bros. That's right. That's right. I am going to start getting into some of my questions in here. If you've got questions, throw them in the comments, and we'll get those answered as well. I told you this goes quick, right? We're an hour in.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
Right?
All right.
Right? It's
I'll
wild.
I'll let you ask questions.
You just start talking and things just happen. Yeah. But I got to know, and I think you already answered this, but the largest thrash that you've been a part of.
So a part of, so for my own personal car would definitely be the Fire, right. But not my personal car. And we're in the middle of trying to make things happen. Would have been FL2K 2023 Travis Mangum, Red S2000.
Yep.
We it would have been quarterfinals, and he torched ahead.
Okay.
And so we tore that thing apart in between rounds. Chucked it in the car. We headed over to found race engines, decked the head. I mean, we had to deck it. I want to say it was like 40,000. Like it was
Badass.
like the intake manifold shouldn't even seal up anymore.
Did you
It's
just
like
deck
so
the
much,
one?
just the fucking one.
Hell yes.
So
Hell yes.
I'm even sitting here like figuring out, okay, how much do we deck off so that way I can grab spacers, washers to be able to stack them under the rockers for because
so the push rods are going to be
push
okay,
rods, yeah.
Right.
I mean, you name it, it was like it shouldn't have happened, and so yeah. So coincidentally, we got the car finished up just enough time for him to go to the semis. We didn't even have time to. I mean, like honestly, didn't even have time to put coolant in it to go to the semifinals.
Right.
The car was on alcohol, so it wasn't a problem. He had a buy on the semi, so it was just enough for us to just try to break
see if it would do something.
Yep. And then get it back and once over it because we really didn't have time to do that. And then he went on to the finals with Jim Braun, you know, and then he won, streetcar class FL2K 2023.
Hell yeah, dude. And same deal for those of you that don't know, 40,000 off of a head is a lot, and 40,000 off of one head is a lot. You're talking so combustion chambers typically are about 1 cc per 7 thousandths. So you took 5 cc's out of the combustion chamber of one side of that motor. So it made like about another half a point of compression on one, more than that probably, like 7/10 of a point of compression on just one side of the motor. That's pretty sweet.
Well, then the other problem was that the other side of the engine had a one of those Vulcan, or I think it's Vulcan cut ring or whatever gaskets.
Okay.
I think they're 59 or 60 thousandths, and all that we had to put back on it was a Cometic MLX that I run on my motor, which is only a 40 thousandths. So there was a 20 thousandths just in head gaskets, a head gasket alone. So I mean, the two sides of the motor were 60,000. It shouldn't have worked. I mean,
that's insane. And then you're talking quench problems, like 40 thousandths gasket. If the piston's out of the hole at all, you're at the limit. So
yeah,
that's pretty sweet. That's super awesome. I dig on that. That's why I ask these questions. That's stuff I would never have known.
Yeah.
What is your best memory from any race that you've ever been to?
Oh, any race I've ever been to. Honestly, it would probably be when we did Lights Out in October. So kind of crappy. Our house had got hit by the hurricane. And then, so we were like, you know what? We were out of power. So we're like, let's get the heck out of town. It was literally that weekend. Nate had reached out to me because this was, I want to say it was right after FL2K.
Okay.
And he goes, hey, come on up and see us for this race. And I'm like, no, I can't, man. I have to work. Well, then hurricane ripped through. Work was closed. Our house was without power. So I looked at my wife and I'm like, you want to go?
You want to go
to
Georgia?
Yeah. She's like, let's go. Boom. So we rocket up there. And it was just such an awesome event. I've never been to a Ducks race. I had never been to one of Nate's races. Man, it was just, we felt like rock stars. I mean, they treated us like rock stars. It was really cool. And then even though the odds were kind of against us because they got some bears that come there, we won it. And, my family was there with me. So, I mean, it was a really pretty awesome experience.
That's awesome. That's a good one. I dig on that a lot. Tell me about the one that got away. What card you sell you shouldn't have sold?
I don't think I really have any regrets. I kind of borderline. I don't know. I went through a midlife crisis. I bought myself a what we called the orange car, which maybe that's where some of this, this orange comes from. It was a gated manual Gallardo.
Okay.
And so
I wasn't sure if that was yours. I saw the pictures of it.
Yeah. So I bought that with full intentions of turboing it. Cause again, back to the whole, if you want to have something turbo, start with the best naturally aspirated, whatever that you can start with, and you'll have an even better product in the end. And that was my full blown intentions, whatever, 2,500 horsepower, 3,000 horsepower, whatever, the sky's the limit. But then once I ended up getting the car and kind of whatever, I was like, this is not the car to do it in. So I ended up selling it. I don't think I regret it. I mean, occasionally I'm like, I kind of miss it, but I don't think I regret it.
I get it.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't me.
You can say you owned a Lambo.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say that.
No, because I told my mom. So she reminded me that when I was, I don't know, 10 years old, I had a orange Lamborghini poster in my room. And I, as corny as it sounds, I was like, hey, Mom, you'll know when I have this, I made it, or something like that. She reminded me of this later. I had no idea. And she goes, well, I guess you made it. I'm like, what do you mean? And she tells me the story. And I'm like, that's funny, but I don't think I made it,
Mom. What's your favorite racetrack you've ever been to?
I really, really enjoy ZMAX.
Okay.
It's just a really good facility. It's 4 wide. It's really just a really nice facility.
Nice.
I wish the track prep was a little better, but
it happens.
It is.
Never been to a 4 wide before, but Stevie and I are doing a little mini honeymoon, and we are going to Vegas this weekend.
Oh, sweet!
And we are going to watch the Nationals in Vegas 4 wide.
That's cool.
It's going to be. It is cool, and that means you should do
absolutely. Yeah.
We're just going to go quick. It's going to be like a Friday, Saturday, back Sunday kind of trip. So, but it's going to be absolutely awesome, and I've never seen it 4 wide before, so that'll be my closest to ZMAX. But I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And if you've never been to Vegas, Nellis Air Force Base is right there. It's like an air show all at the same time, and it's Vegas.
I want to do because they usually do LS Fest there, don't they?
They do. LS Fest West is in Vegas. Yeah.
So I think I definitely want to put that on the list to do it.
First weekend in September this year. I will be doing a drag and drive in Colorado, little 3-day deal. But I got offered to announce that. But Derek Clinton will be there.
Okay.
So, that's gonna be a cool ass race. So maybe make it out there, or if you want to come to that drag and drive, you let me know. We're gonna be going through the mountains in Colorado.
So that is, I think that's Adam and I's next place we really want to go is doing that.
Hell yeah. Adam wants to know: would you ever consider going on the new Pinks 2.0?
Absolutely. It wouldn't be with this car,
right?
But absolutely, if I would have that other car that I have, because it would have to be an S2000,
right?
I would have that other car that I have. That thing would be done up in a few weeks.
Car.
Yeah. No, I'd probably do the red car.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'll probably do the red car. I own it stupid cheap, so it wouldn't hurt my feelings.
Doesn't hurt you to let that thing go.
No.
Hell yeah.
Well, we're not gonna let it go because we're not gonna lose. So.
Well, attaboy, because you got Brian Tooley on board.
Exactly.
While we've got a little bit of time, shout out who's giving you help with your program.
Oh man, we've had some of the best guys. So a personal friend, Mike, Fountain Race Engines, he has by far been the coolest dude ever. I showed up on his doorstep. I had hurt streetcar takeover many years ago. I had pushed a head gasket. Unfortunately, my father-in-law passed away from a motorcycle accident. Super, super important person in my life. I mean, wildly important to me. And so we were doing like a memorial ride for him, and I wanted the car. And so I needed to get these cylinder heads resurfaced like today, like no exaggeration. Right. And I showed up on this dude's doorstep and was like, please. And he did. And he doesn't do that. Like, he doesn't like to do that type of stuff. Like, he does full bills. He doesn't do like, let me not just skip.
Yeah. Let me just real quick stop what I'm doing.
Stop everything I'm doing. I mean, cause he, his big thing is he does all the, sleeved Lamborghini V10 stuff. I mean, he does high end big stuff. And here I am, this little dude, like, here, can you do this for me?
Yeah, I got junk
So-
LS heads. Can you? Yeah,
100%.
totally.
And they were goobered up stuff because at that time it was like a stock block 5.3 bullshit.
Right.
Because when I initially started modifying the S2000, it was 4-cylinder and it was supercharged and then turbo and everything else like that. Well, it got to the point it was, they were $10, $15, $20,000 engines because it was sleeved and everything. And of course, because I have no chill, I mean none, I keep pushing it. I don't know when to stop. There is no stop. I think boost is just a figure that is made up, like whatever. It doesn't matter if it's 30 pounds or 100 pounds. We're just going to keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
The motor will tell us when it's done.
Exactly.
So I kept blowing them up, kept being super expensive. And so I said, these LSs, they're supposed to handle 1,000 horsepower, and you can buy them for $300 for a
and they're cheap as hell. And we can, the internet says we can swap it for $1,200.
Yeah. So I actually made money swapping it and selling the F20 off and swapped the LS into it and had money in my pocket. And so then it was, so I went to do the LS. Well, then the LS was, it was 800 horsepower, 900, 1,000. Then I'm blowing those up. So then it's rods and pistons, and it's 1,300 horsepower. Then I'm blowing those up. And that's what I brought him, was this pile of junk that was making 1,500 horsepower, and it should not be making any more than 1,200 because nothing was, built for it.
And it had been blown up 3 times and repaired twice
so
terribly and
cobbled together, And so then, I did that. Of course, we did the drag, the memorial thing. That was awesome. Then we went to the next race. It hurt something else on the motor. So now I've kind of got like an in on it. So now I'm like bringing him other stuff, and I've got rods and pistons out of it, and he's looking at it, and he's like, "You're making how much?" And at that time, I couldn't fathom it because I'm like, a stock LS, they can handle 1,000 horsepower, So if it's got forged rods and pistons, why can't it should be good for 1,500? Yeah, And he's like, no. They were never good for 1,000. They were actually only good for maybe like 600 or 700. You put some forged stuff in it, they technically are only good for 1,000. And I'm like, man, this doesn't make sense to me. Well, when I finally listened to him, I was tearing stuff up left and right. And he's like, do you see this? Like the wrist pins are bent and this and that. And I'm like, it still ran, So I listened to him. He's like, no, we gotta, I'm not touching this garbage. We're going to build you something from scratch. I've got an idea of this, motor, because this was back when people weren't doing the LAT. They weren't doing, that combo. And he goes, I can't promise it's going to be great, but on paper, it looks really good. And so we did. I mean, I've got over 750 passes logged on that motor.
Wow.
Since 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane. So it's been refreshed twice since then. But nothing, nothing major.
Right. Kind of rings and bearings stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
bearings.
One hone.
Yeah. So south of 1,800 horsepower, the motor has absolutely no troubles. Like I can go an entire 300, 400, 500 passes on it. Everything looks new when we take it apart. But north of 1,800, stuff's not happy. Stuff is moving around so badly in there. The crank in particular, it's gotten to the point now where when it's at 2,000, 2,100 or so, I do bearings in it every 30 passes.
Okay.
Just because. So we're building a new motor currently right now. It's just not ready. It's only the lower bearings though. It doesn't touch the upper shells, only the lowers, and it only touches 3 and 4. And so
just because it gets the crankshaft all noodly.
Yeah, it does. That thing's a wet fucking noodle in there. It's so bad. I know every 30 passes, if they're hard passes, I drop the pan. It takes me an hour and 15 minutes, and I put 2 new shells of bearings in it, and we're done.
It's awesome. Awesome.
It's cheap. It's cheap enough. It's easy enough. It's the better solution because I refuse to have the car down.
Oh yeah.
Like most people would be like, we'll build a new motor. We'll be down for a year. I refuse. I won't do it.
Attaboy. Who else is giving you help on your stuff?
So hugely, Brian Tooley Racing. They have been phenomenal. I have only ever ran cams from them, valve springs from them, even rockers. I mean, they shouldn't. I'm putting them to such extreme abuse with the back pressures that we run, with the boost that we run, with everything else.
Right.
The RPM, it shouldn't live. And I'm not saying that anybody else should buy this stuff and go and do that because it's kind of stupid. But I have not.
They'll tell you not to do that, but
they told me not to do it. Even when I even had to just tell them I'm not doing that. But I'm here to tell you I am doing that. And they've been awesome. So those guys. Then Circle D has been absolutely amazing to us. That was really when Circle D helped us out. Pete specifically, when he helped us out and kind of showed me a side of like drag racing that I wasn't really familiar with, because all my stuff is self-learned. I literally just, my car is the only experience that I have. Right. And he's like, maybe you need to consider this. And I'm like, all right, I'll listen. And so we did that. Car picked up substantially. So huge thanks to him. Then Sheer Fabrication, those guys are freaking awesome because I've got their intercooler. It's a sandwich deal just because, my car is 10 gallons of shit in a 5-gallon bucket. Plain and simple. You run what you can possibly get away with sizing. Then obviously the motion guys are freaking awesome. Every part of it. TBM, because they literally allowed me.
It's got four-wheel TBMs.
Four-wheel TBMs. So they freaking allowed me to go in there because they don't make a kit for them. Right. And so they allowed me to go in there, and I think I brought home probably like $100,000 worth of TBM brakes with me. Of just
what will fit.
Yeah, because their stuff is quite modular, and so they allowed me to grab this hat, that rotor, this bracket, this, that, and we literally just okay, we're getting closer, we can shim this, and we can. I was able to make, funny enough, I was able to make an entire front brake kit with absolutely no modifications, just 12 different kits put into one.
That's awesome.
And then the rears, I was able to make everything work except for I needed to make a custom bracket. So I freaking made it out of cardboard. I was going to do it myself. And then they were like, no, just give us the freaking piece of cardboard. Come back in a couple hours and we'll have a bracket for you. Yeah. So it's freaking cool. So now it's got a set of, 4-wheel TBMs on it, which is really cool because that's kind of been one of the issues with the car. Everything's custom.
Right.
Because they just don't offer it for that. So, BC Coilovers has been amazing. This thing has autocross suspension on it. Wow. And these guys have been super cool with, bouncing ideas off them bouncing it off me, making some changes, doing this and that to try to make this car that on paper should not work for a radial prep drag race car. Right. Everything's wrong. It's IRS. It's, 51% weight on the nose, which is nothing for a radial car. The car is 94.5-inch wheelbase. The car is 3,300 pounds. I mean, all the things, like how many things do you want to stack up that are wrong?
Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag.
Yes, 100%. So those guys have been freaking awesome. Inline Pro, they made the bracketry for the to put the Super 8.8 rear diff in it, and then Chasing Speed, which he's on here. Chasing Speed's on there. They make the motor mounts to put the motor into it, which is freaking cool.
He tells you to come to LS Fest East, by the way.
Oh, East. Okay. Hey, maybe. You never know. So, and obviously Fuel Tech just, for nothing more than they made a super simple product that, even a dummy like me can use.
Totally. It's the caveman.
Yeah.
Even a caveman can do it.
Yes.
The one I give you a heads up on.
Yes.
Car that you would like to take to an event and a car that you would like to own. They can't be the same car. Whose cars are you going to either wheel or own?
So the car I want to wheel is Mark Mickey's Pro Mod.
Dude, hell yes. Hell yes.
I have an absolute desire for speed that just doesn't ever stop. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a boat, if it's cars, if it's moped, go-ped, motorcycle, absolute speed, demon, doesn't matter what it is. So that car, I want to do that. And then the car that I want to own is Devin Vanderhoof's convertible Mustang.
Big Earn, dude.
Yes.
Big Earn. And that car is gangster with a capital G.
It is. Like, I don't have that attention to detail. And so to see that car and to see the attention to detail, like, I've never just bought a car. I would have to just buy it out because I couldn't build that attention to detail. It ain't in me. It's not there.
Nope. And if you guys have ever had a chance to look at that car, he was at PRI. Yeah. He's got freaking jacks. He's got air jacks built into the car. So they ride along with the car. He can just pull it up, air jack the car up, switch it over. It's the stuff that's in that car, the stuff that's built around that car. And it's gone 399 or 398 in the 8th mile. It's gone 16s in the quarter mile on a 275. It's absolutely gangster. That car is off the chain, amazing. So I like that. That's the first Big Earn shout out that we've had on the show. So that car is sweet. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm getting down to the end of my questions. If you have questions, throw them up in the comments, and we will have RC get those all answered for you. I mean, no holes barred. It's 10:18 there. I mean, you've had a couple of beers, whatever you want to know. I mean, let's go. You need a deal on your Honda. I know a guy. I know the answer to this for you, but I want to know why. And for other people to know, trailer or no trailer?
Which are we talking about?
For drag and driving?
No, I don't use a trailer. Or you mean trailer behind the car?
Behind the car.
Oh yes, for me I have to have a trailer. I want to. There's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing more gangster than a car that can do it at a high caliber with no trailer. Right. So it's definitely a goal. You know, I've talked to Adam about this. I'm like, it's definitely a goal that I'd love to do it with no trailer because I think that'd be pretty gangster.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. We had a dude that showed up, actually Doug Klein, who has a car that runs low sixes. It's a Larson built car. He sold that car, actually. He showed up to a drag and drive and put all of his stuff on his wheelie bars. Had it strapped with bungee cords on his wheelie bars, and drove that through the mountains in Colorado.
Man, I want to do one through the mountains. I really do. That's like the next step for us. So unfortunately, we signed up for freaking Hot Rod Drag Week this year, and then I didn't know that my wife had already booked us a cruise to Alaska at the same time. So if anybody needs a Hot Rod Drag Week entrance, you can have it on me.
I like it. I like it. If we ever get back in the mountains, and if we get Great Bend back, Great Bend is a track in Great Bend, Kansas. SRCA, they're amazing. It's a 100% volunteer track, and it's actually a nonprofit, a 501c3 approved nonprofit track. Every person that works there is a volunteer. It's crazy that
that's cool.
They go out there to that racetrack, but they had some issues with the surface. They had it redone, and it did not turn out right. It was by the time it was done, they tried to grind it, and it was full of air, so it's real porous.
Sure.
And it's just junk. But they're possibly in the process of redoing that. If we get Great Bend back, then Rocky Mountain Race Week will be back in the mountains. That is on the docket this year, so maybe next year. That could be a thing, and I know a guy. I can maybe help you make that happen if you would like to do that. So, Adam says he's into anything as long as he doesn't get to pack the trailer every day for a week.
So that's an inside joke for that was sick week,
Yep.
After the fire, or I think it was I'm pretty sure it was. It had to have been because I think I was so badly stressed out. And I think I just kept saying, "Can you pack the trailer?" And I didn't mean anything negative by it. I really didn't. But he definitely brought it to my attention. He waited though.
Yeah.
He waited
waited till the end.
And
he's
like,
Am I just your bitch here? Is that what's going on?
Oh,
I'm your pack of the trailer bitch.
I know. I
Let's
felt
not
so
do
bad
that.
because I couldn't do it without him.
Right.
So the plan is this year we're gonna do street and yeet,
Cool.
Devin's deal, and they allow double entrances. So the plan there is for me to do the limited yeet, and then I want him to do the tiny tire. So we'll use my car, double enter it. We'll put the small tires on it for him to go into that class, and then I'll do the 275s.
Badass, dude.
So
hell yeah.
Hopefully win both of them.
That's what I'm talking about. That's sweet. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Does he? Can he wheel a car worth of shit?
Oh no, not really. But
Yeah,
this car, it drives itself. All I do is I just let go of a button.
Oh yeah. Oh, does it?
And you click on it. Speaking of street and yeet.
He says no.
Yeah.
He cannot.
He can definitely wheel a car.
Good. And Ellen wants to know when he gets his custom comfortable seat.
Well, unfortunately, Adam's kind of lived in an attempt for us to make the balance of the car better, because the car, whatever, if it was a year or two ago, it used to be 52% weight on the rear and only 48% on the nose. So we had to move some stuff around. That's not ideal. So the ice tank actually sits in the passenger seat.
Oh, okay.
So we have to remove it for street driving. And so it is a royal pain in the ass. So he definitely does not get the most comfortable seat. He gets the seat that allows that tank to fit in there.
Right.
That's it.
And just sweat all in there.
Well, and that's the worst part, is that the seat is so big and the car is so small. I had to cut the seat in half to get it in the car. There is no opening anywhere that's big enough for the seat to go in one piece. So,
okay.
Sorry for him. Sorry.
Maybe if you keep blowing the roof off, continue blowing the roof off, and then you can get it in.
That's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, maybe not do that.
Yeah, we're trying to find a top that is, even though the one that we're looking at is, God, it's awful ugly. It's god awful ugly. It looks like something right out of Fast and Furious, and that's not my thing.
Right.
But it looks like it's going to be, for aerodynamics wise.
I was going to say, if it works though.
I'm torn, man, because I'm a functions guy. Like, and the car right now really has a very, very serious problem with lift.
Right.
So it right now, that's why we very, 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 very seldomly do I ever run it completely out the back door. I usually let out at probably 1,250 foot. Because right about like high 190s, the car spins the rear tires. And so I haven't been able to combat that yet. So we're going to have to do something. I put the drag wing on it, and it pushed it out a little bit further. There's Mike. Toretto. Is
that your nickname? Are you?
So we were looking. So Mike is the one that thinks that other top is going to be better for aerodynamics, which I think I agree with him. And so I was telling him, like, it's so freaking ugly. And so he's like, well, what's it look like? So we're Googling on. I'm trying to show him, and here comes this S2000 with that top on it, and it's got a license plate that says Toretto. And I'm like, see, like Fast and Furious. I can't get away from it. Yeah. So.
Oh, this is one that you gave me that I haven't asked people, but what's your definition of a street car?
Ooh, the true definition of a street car is, will you valet it? That's the true.
I like that.
Will you valet it? Can someone else jump in it and drive it without you having to teach them?
Yeah, you have to do this and do this and then hit this and hold your tongue just right and twist this knob and twist it and bop it and bang it.
Yeah, that is truly a street car.
Can you valet your car?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
There's no way. They're not going to know how to. They wouldn't know how to start it. I freaking wired it myself. I barely even know how to start it.
Chasing Speed says, hit my boy Johnny up at 9 lives up, and he can get your arrow sorted.
Okay, 9
and
lives.
maybe
Okay.
and maybe not Fast and Furious. So you may have
Martial
learned
Hardware.
something
I'm
tonight.
gonna write that one down.
Yeah, you right. I'll leave it up. You write that down. I like that though. If you can valet your car, it's a street car. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that a lot. Most of my stuff is stick shift, and so they won't valet my car.
Yeah, exactly. They don't even know how.
They have
So
no
funny enough,
idea.
the car when I originally built the S2000, it was stick shift.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
Turbo.
Well, of course, that's what they all
Yep.
were when they were stock.
Well, it was even it was turbo LS stick shift
Okay.
with a Magnum T56.
Attaboy. Attaboy. I
Yep.
knew I liked you.
Yep. Yep. And then I couldn't get it to go. Oh, God, what was it? I think we had barely broke into the 8s. And I was just like, man, I think we could go 7s if it was auto. And then the rest was history from there.
It happens, and I mean,
Yeah.
to the best of us. I'm in your boat with the H stuff. I have so much money wrapped up in T56s that I could sell them, and because they work and they're all complete and they're worth money right now, and automatic convert my stuff and have money in my pocket. But I just can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, that was the final straw for me. Was it had a McLeod twin disc in it, and so it had their I forget the exact abbreviations, whatever. I think it's the RXS versus RXT, something like that. So one is rated for 1,000 horsepower, whatever. It had that in there, and then it got to the point where it started welding the disc to itself.
Right.
So I'd leave the track, I'd go to frickin', stop at the damn stoplight, and the thing stalled itself out. I'd have to frickin' pop the dang, try to get it to break free.
Right.
So then we were like, oh, I bet you it's the 1200. I need to upgrade to the 1200. So I went ahead and just bought another clutch, RXT 1200.
And those are $1,500 or whatever.
Yeah, they're not cheap. And so I did that, and then it did the exact same thing. And now I'm like, what the shit? I've got 2 freaking $1,500 clutches now.
Yeah, that are door stops now.
Yes. So then when I'm looking at, I got the, it's got a Magnum in it. So it's a transmission I could sell for good money. 2 good clutches that I could just send back, have them rebuild them, sell them. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can go auto and have money in the bank based on what I sell the manual stuff for. And that was why I said.
Totally. And like I said, I could do that in a second. I just have so much poured into both of them that it's just is what it is. Adam, who knows the answer to this question, wants to know how quick you went without having a roll cage in your car. And Jeff Mole had to yell at you.
So we had already gone 850s before, faster than 850s before I ever even put a single bar in the car. So then Jeff brings me down so I met Jeff. He was here for some event, and they had strapped the car down wrong. They had actually gone like over the tie rod end to strap the car down and bent the tie rod. And so I forget what it even was. It was like a Facebook post or something like that. And he goes, I need an alignment like now. And I'm like, bring it by. Like, so he brings it by, and he thought that we were going to like some podunk shop, and he pulls up to this freaking, $30 million Honda
shop.
Yeah. And he's like, we can't go. I'm like, no, I run the place. Like, we're good. We can come on in. We'll do this thing. And so we dropped what we're doing to help him out. And they have become phenomenal friends. So, he was like, you know what? I'm bringing you down a 2-bender. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And he legitimately brought down a 2-bender. And then I'm like, well, now I really have to build a cage. So I built my first cage in that car, 850 cage.
Yep. And thanks for bringing attention to his safety issues. It takes a village. That must be your wife.
It is. It is. Yeah. But I have, so Dragon Drives have, they have solved all that.
Well, and that's, you have to be legit at those.
Yeah.
So,
so I've got my NHRA advanced ET license. The car is certified.
You've got a fire system. You've got a roll cage, and and Jessica won't need to go and scrape your brains off the racetrack.
True.
Knock on wood. Yeah. My last question, and again, if you got a question that you want to get answered, let's get that done. But my last question for you is, what advice do you have for a newbie? And you can use as wide a berth as you want. Newbie getting into Hondas, newbie getting into S2000s, newbie getting into drag and drive, newbie getting into drag racing, period. But what advice would you give to a dude following semi in your footsteps?
Yeah, just have fun with it. For me, it's the camaraderie. Like, I do love to win, but man, I like just being around the guys. I try to be the absolute first person that offers a hand or a part or this or that. Right. It's fun enough when we do the drag and drive stuff. Adam sometimes yells at me because he's like, why are you bringing all this stuff? And as crazy as it sounds, there is a lot of stuff on my trailer that it doesn't go to my car.
Right.
Like, it's obsolete. I don't even use that type of coupler or that type of line anymore, or this or that.
But the dude part next to you might.
Exactly. 100%. Totally. So I say, keep that, getting into this, keep that mentality. I'm not like a big grudge racer type of guy, or that the bad grudge racer type where, things are, sour.
Right.
It's not my thing. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. That's all I think. I think it's a blast,
Yeah, I agree. If you're not having fun with what you're doing, then find something new to do. Yeah. If you're not having fun with your program that you're currently doing with your car, change it. Do something different. If that's putting a manual in it or taking a manual out of it or whatever, make sure you're having fun doing this, because you could be doing a lot of different stuff with your money and time. And if you are beating your head against the wall with your free time, then you're gonna hate your life eventually, and you're not really gonna like doing your hobby. So make sure it's fun, whatever the hell it is. Exactly. If you have fun banging gears in an 11-second car, by all means,
doesn't matter. 100%.
If you like driving a Prelude, a stock ass H22 Prelude that goes 15s or whatever, and you want to go take that thing out every weekend and race it, by all means.
God, I tried to get that thing. I tried to get that thing to go 14s. It wouldn't do it. It wouldn't do it.
But yeah, dude, I'm with you. Have fun.
Have fun. Doesn't matter what it is.
Life is short, dude. When you really lay it down, how many more summers do you think you have to do this when you could actually do it? It's probably less than you think, and that's scary too. But God damn it, enjoy it. Like, go have fun doing it. So
that's why we do it. I absolutely love it. I mean, it truly is. I enjoy every part of it. Every part of it.
Hell yes. Plug your socials for folks real quick.
I'm the worst when it comes to that stuff.
You don't need to.
So it's fine. It's True Street Cars is Instagram, and then Facebook is just me. Richard C. Flint.
Richard C. That's right.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better at it. I really am, because it's something that I lack at so bad.
It's whatever. If it were easy, everyone would do it.
True. But, you got that right.
Whatever. You've got a cool ass car, and people might want to follow your footsteps, and you might want to look into that. It could help pay for gas or something.
Very true.
So, dude, RC, this was fun. An hour and a half, just like that. These always end with me going, I could do another hour and a half, no problem, except that my bladder says no. But dude, this was super fun. I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. And dude, when are we going to see you next?
We're trying to be all over.
Right.
So we will be at Streetcar Takeover Gainesville in like 3 weeks.
Totally. My buddy Cliff Parvin does the announcing for Streetcar Takeover. That dude is gangster, and of course Gainesville is sweet.
Absolutely, Gainesville is another one. In my opinion, another category like the ZMAX, where they just have a fantastic facility. Especially for racers with as much asphalt as they have, everything else. It's super enjoyable, especially if you're going to stay for the weekend.
Big long shutdown for racing.
Oh, huge. I have to accelerate to get to the end of the shutdown there.
Right.
And so that and then we'll be maybe a month later we'll be at Rockingham for Nate's race, that streetcar bragging rights.
Streetcar bragging rights, totally.
Yep.
That was another one. I got offered a job to work there because it's going to be on Freedom Plus, which is super duper cool. But I am unable to make it because we are going to do a wedding reception that weekend. So I told him if he called me a day before, it'd have been done. I'd been there.
Man.
But he called me the day we nailed it down. So whatever, no big deal. They'll get somebody involved with that, but that'll be on Freedom Plus. I will be watching that on Freedom Plus as well, which will be super cool. But Derek Putnam, one of my great buddies, will be announcing that and has been for a couple of years. So.
You guys are definitely my two favorites when it comes to the race stuff. I try and find the stuff that you guys are at, and I'm like, maybe we'll go to that one.
Maybe I'll go to that.
Maybe it wasn't on the list before. I will now.
Totally, totally. I appreciate that. I know Derek does too. Derek's kind of based out of that world. I just pop in for some of the bigger races typically, but I love being in your backyard and meeting all you Florida cats. You guys are a different breed.
We're so spoiled, man. Because I'm
are
really close to Bradenton. Yeah.
My closest racetrack right now is 3.5 hours away.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's me. That I did that to myself. As Cooper Buggetti will tell me, that's a problem that I created for myself. Yeah. But my town has 75,000 people in it, and it's the second largest town in the state. So,
wow,
South Dakota, dude.
Can't fill a track there.
Nope. Nope. You certainly can't. But I also don't have any traffic. Zero.
Yeah, it's true.
It's very nice.
So Adam's question there.
Yeah. Do you think you can beat Jim Braun heads up?
100%.
Oh yeah, Jim ain't got nothing. In fact, he was when I made the announcement that I was going to have you on, he was like, "I'm thinking about questions to answer him," and I see that he's scared and he hasn't been on here.
He is scared. He's not here.
And I told him you can also single turbo LS your car. It's okay. There's no law against it, and so if you want to go fast, you can do that. And he was like, "I'm thinking of mean things to say."
He did say that.
Yeah, but he was on last weekend, so I'm doing a little trifecta.
Absolutely.
So because I had him, I got you, and then next week for folks that are still on, Kevin Smith from KSR.
Very nice.
Which is going to be very cool, and coming off his Freedom 500, whatever third place finish I think he had.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about that, but it's going to be three weekends in a row, or three weeks in a row, Florida man.
Cool.
I think I'm basically a Florida man myself now because I spent enough time down there. So I'm just going to need to buy a house in your neighborhood, which is also where Cooper's neighborhood is. So if you're right around the corner from Doug, then you're also right around the corner from Coop. So I just need to get with Matthew Christensen. He's going to be my realtor. And I'll just pick myself up something good. But,
come on into my neighbors already hate me, so
perfect. I'll be partying with you. It'll be you and me.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I'm done. This has been great. Hour and 40 minutes. I'm going to let you get to sleep. Thank you so very much for coming on and rapping with me and giving these folks a little bit of background and what it takes to build a 6-second S2000 Honda. That's pretty damn cool.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you, man.
I'm going to throw you in the background real quick. I'll say goodbye to the 8 people I still have watching, and then I'll say goodnight to you. But thank you so very much again.
My pleasure, man.
Awesome. Dude, how cool was that? RC Flint. Like I said, a dude that's always really stoked to jump in and get interviews with me and Doug while we're down there at typically Bradenton. But drag and drive dude, very, very fun. All the OG Honda stuff. I've been hammering on my Honda the last couple of days. I just put a rack in it. I've got a Honda Civic wagon, which is super neat. It's an all-wheel drive deal too, so that's pretty cool. But man, RC, so much fun. That was absolutely a blast. So appreciate all you guys tuning in and checking it all out. Again, I will be at the Torque Storm Dust Off Drag Race. And I will be at Mega Week next. That's where you guys will be seeing me. I also, again, next week have Mr. Kevin Smith from KSR Performance and Fab on next Tuesday. So Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate you so very much. And I will see you coming up very, very soon. Good night, y'all.